Hi, welcome to FlyOn. I am a licensed falconer here in the US, and today we're going to be reacting to The Witcher. So I've actually been working with raptors since 2005, which I just realized makes it almost 20 years. Whoa. Yeah, so 2005, I actually started volunteering at a wildlife rehabilitation center, which does rehab and rescue, so either placements of orphaned or injured animals or we release them to the wild. Very rewarding job, very, very time consuming, and just, we were a huge center, so we did reptiles, birds, mammals, and it was full in the spring and summer. Loved it though, you never knew what was going to come through the door. 2007 though, I got another job as a falconer, which is actually very rare. Usually it's just a very expensive hobby. I was lucky enough to actually have a job in falconry. I was working with someone else's birds, and it was mostly, I think it was all actually non-native species of falcon. It was basically the apprenticeship program. I studied for 2 years with someone who was my falconry boss, and then eventually took over the department about 2 years later, and was the falconry department head for about 6 years after that. Then I became a falconer in real life and had my own license, my own bird. I'm currently working with a red-tailed hawk, but I have my general's license, which means that I can get any other number of species. Right now I just decided to stay with the red-tailed hawk. I have a non-releasable bird. Lots and lots and lots of videos about Charlie on the channel. So, you know, I'm doing all the regular falconry stuff now. It was a little different before, but I did get a lot of experience with owls, hawks of all kinds, falcons, both native and non-native. We never worked with eagles. We never got a rescue eagle in. I mean, the rehabilitation center was all stuff that's native to my area, which I'm deliberately being vague about because there's not many of us falconers here. So that's a little bit about my background. So today we're going to be reacting to some owl scenes from The Witcher. In case you weren't familiar with The Witcher, it is rated R or higher. There's a lot of violence and gore and stuff. Is it like Game of Thrones? Kinda. It's like a medieval fantasy with magical creatures and a monster hunter, which is the titular The Witcher. So he's a very highly trained fighter and very knowledgeable in fighting monsters for, you know, this magical fantasy medieval kind of world. He's not actually in any of the scenes we're going to react to right now, though. There is an owl who's kind of a secondary character. There's books, shows, the show, and there's a couple shows, but the show from Netflix, and then there's video games. I think the books came first, then the video games, then the show, this show. I'm going to be reacting to the show. I have read the first 4 books of The Witcher, but I honestly don't remember many of the differences. But the side character we're going to be learning about, by the way, spoiler alerts, because this character is in season 2 and 3. So if you haven't watched to then yet, there could be spoilers. Go back and watch it and then come back. We'll be here. Spoiler alert, she's a shapeshifter. So she turns from a human into an owl. I don't know if it's the same in the books, but it's like that in the show. So we're going to be reacting to these owl scenes. Her name is Philippa. In human form, Eilhart, I believe, is the last name. Philippa Eilhart. I don't know how to describe her, but she and another character called Dijkstra, played by the famous Graham McTavish, just get up to shenanigans in the show. They're kind of plotting a lot. I've seen The Witcher before. I've watched the show multiple times, so this is not a blind reaction, but I haven't watched it and recorded my analysis of the owl stuff. So let's just get started. I'm just gonna let this go for a few seconds before I stop and interrupt anything. Okay. So So the first scene you see, I'm going to go back to, this is obviously a CGI shot. This is a barn owl, B-A-R-N, not to be confused with barred owl, B-A-R-R-E-D. The first shot has got to be CGI. First of all, a camera wouldn't be able to follow the bird this closely across the city like that. It's also a fake city. But whether it's footage of a bird flying and then inserted into this or, you know, just completely CGI, I don't know. And then when you get to the actual window, it switches to an actual bird.
King Vizimir, the Northern Kingdoms are united by a common enemy now.
Alright, so here you can see from the front the actual barn owl. You'll notice that there is a perch made specifically for this animal. I doubt that the windows behind it are open. I don't see any jesses or leash, but it could just be that they added them out because they wanted it to look like the bird was just there on its own. It is possible that the animal's just gonna sit there, but I mean, you wouldn't want an open window, like, in case, you know? Barn owls are native to the US in parts. I'm not sure of their distribution range, but it's actually not legal to use native species in the US for commercial purposes. We don't want people getting into falconry for profit. That's very important. And falconers work very hand in hand with conservation and biology and everything. So this was not filmed in the US. I don't know what the rules are in Europe. It's probably different everywhere. But this is most likely a captive bird. Most owls, you have to get either as, I'll say baby for all intents and purposes, or captive bred. Let's just keep going and I'll talk more about that, I'm sure.
King Vizimir, the Northern Kingdoms are united by a common enemy now, but it is a tenuous alliance.
We only want to serve Redania as best we can.
I can't show you Dijkstra's entrance because he just killed somebody. I may have to actually not even use that word, I don't know.
Dijkstra.
Good afternoon, Your Highness.
So, I may have to blur part of this out, or I may have to use a earlier part of the video, but we're seeing it from the owl's point of view, supposedly. Owls would actually have much better vision than we would, so it would not be this kind of fishbowl kind of effect. However, they're just doing it to try and show you that there's somebody looking through the eyes of the owl. So let's see what else we can see.
Leave it with us.
So again, we're going back and forth between this altered vision and Dijkstra, who is actually in cahoots with the character who shapeshifts into the owl. Again, you're not going to have different, you know, fishbowl kind of vision from an owl. I mean, obviously, we've never been able to see with their eyes exactly, but raptors have much, much better vision than humans, so it certainly would be more clear, if not more blurry, than this. Also, you can see the language of, you know, Dijkstra saying stuff like us and, you know, looking directly at the camera to show that there's a shape-shifting aspect to it. It has nothing to do with falconry, I'm just saying that. I don't see any anklets or jesses on this animal at this time, which is possible. I mean, I guarantee you the window's not open right behind it, but, you know, raptors just kind of sit around most of the time. They're not doing much exciting stuff, so it's possible that they trust this animal to just sit there without, you know, any clothing on. I can kind of see a very sharp talon there. This bird, just based on the silhouette of their talon here, they probably need a nail trim. But that's, you know, that's just me looking at a very shadowy picture of this owl. And I'm going to... Why is there a German Shepherd on somebody's porch? Why is... Oh, this looks like a neighbor's dog. There's no way I can go get it. I'm all the way upstairs in my house. It has a collar on and a tag. God, I don't want it to get hit by a car. It clearly doesn't belong out there. Oh, Jesus. I have to try. I have to try. Yeah, I just caught the dog and returned it to its owner. Day in the life.
5 minutes later.
Okay. Rescued the dog. Luckily, the dog only lived a few houses down and was very well behaved, so I was able to just grab the collar, look at the number, and take him down. It never ends, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, but once you become a rehabber or any kind of animal rescue, like, it never stops. You never stop becoming a rehabber or a rescue person. It just happens. And anyway, all right, let's keep going.
Leave it with me. Leave it with me. Leave it with me. No. There's a religious zeal.
Again with the naked Dijkstra, I don't know.
Maybe that's all I had to send her. Priestess.
Okay, here's the first shot that I've seen where I can actually see equipment on the bird's feet. So right near the bottom of the leg, bird anatomy is weird. It doesn't completely correspond to human anatomy, so actually that whole first joint is part of the animal's foot, but let's just say leg. You can kind of see some like white rope kind of wrapped down there. That's probably some form of altered anklet to kind of make it look like there's nothing on there because it matches the white on higher up on the leg. We know it's not just scales or something like that over top of the leg because his feet are yellow. It would have been yellow on the leg as well. And it's clearly not just feathers. There's something on that bird's foot. If there's jesses attached to it, it just probably goes back behind the perch there. Hang on, is this even a zygodactyl perching? Yeah, it's gotta be. There's usually more than one animal, if I haven't said so already, there's usually more than one individual animal that is working on these sets, because remember, they have to get these from multiple angles, multiple people talking, different takes over and over and over again, sometimes over multiple days. And there's rules, at least I hope there is, where this is being recorded that regulate, how often animals can be involved in this. So usually there's more than one that kind of go in and out. And sometimes their training levels are going to differ. Maybe one of the owls needed anklets and possibly jesses that we can't see on in order to behave, in order to stay where they wanted them to for this. And maybe the other one didn't. Could be any number of things, but that is interesting that they did make clearly like some kind of custom, custom color, maybe custom material anklets for this bird.
Now that is an out-of-the-box idea. Getting an elf into Sintra
It
won't be a
looks
problem.
like he's just reached down to preen there for a second.
It needs to be the right one.
Let's go back for just a second here.
Now that is an out-of-the-box idea.
So they're probably not right up under the bird getting this shot, right? They're probably quite a ways back and they're zoomed in. So you can kind of see this fuzzy shape there. I don't know, that's just one possibility. You can kind of see the beak of the bird come into the shot though. It kind of looks like they're preening. You can see the beak kind of reach down in and then go back up, but it's blurry so you can't really tell. So just another indicator. These animals are going to do what they want to do. That probably wasn't in the script, but they're going to do what they're going to do. That's cute. I didn't catch that the first time through.
This. I know because I helped.
The up close shot, the owl's just kind of like looking off in the distance. So there's got to be something interesting above them. It could be a shadow. It could be anything. Doesn't mean food's necessarily up there. But I guess for the close-up day, the owl decided to not look at the camera, which is typical. Even standing there with Dara, it's kind of like looking off into the distance. Oh, there you go. That was a pretty good rotation of the head, too. Owls have a larger rotation than hawks, eagles, and falcons do. They can go about 270 degrees, so about 3/4 of the way around.
Of course I'm nervous. As a child, I watched Sintran soldiers murder my kind. And now I'm watching Nilfgaard do the same. Only now I'm complicit.
Alright, here's a really pretty shot of this barn owl. Again, probably not a real window, because you wouldn't just put your barn owl outside of a window and hope for the best. Sorry, if I haven't said this already, barn owls don't shapeshift. Sorry to just blow your mind there, but yeah, don't get one expecting it to shapeshift, because it's not going to happen. Also, they really probably won't understand you if you just continue to talk to them like they are humans. Just making sure I included that part. Notice they kind of cut off the bottom part of the barn owl a little bit here. I do believe this is an actual bird. I don't know. I didn't make this show, so this is just my observations here. There's probably anklets and jesses on the bird's feet, so that's my guess as to why they did that.
They're looking for me. Elves are dying because I'm here, spying.
In the wide shot, it does show
Last night,
lower, but it doesn't show any anklets
Seeing
or
that people
jesses, but it's like a
sing
darker
and
color,
dance,
so they could probably
seeing
blend in.
a baby in her mother's arms. I don't care about Redania. Wilshire loves Dijkstra. They can have each other. From here on out, I want to focus on keeping that elven hope alive.
This is kind of a dangerous position. This is an elf named Dara in the show here. He's got his hand very close to that owl. I don't know why. I would not put an actor's hand that close to the bird unnecessarily. He doesn't seem... He has, like, gauntlets on, leather... I don't know if they're leather or what, but just as part of the costume, but you'd need your whole hand covered. So I don't know this particular animal. You know, most of the time, they're probably not going to bite or foot you, which means grabbing them with their feet, but, like, why risk it? This is a relatively small owl, so it's kind of like in the medium size category for this part of the world, but, you know, even though their feet might be small, they can grip and hold, and, you know, we don't have enough strength to make them release. I just cracked my own knuckle there. Did you hear that? So yeah, I don't just put your hand up to this bird. There's not really a reason to do so here, unless maybe there's a leash that's being held. Again, probably not an open window and just lit from behind, but also probably padded underneath that bird's feet. They're probably not just like gripping a window ledge. Alright, so the next clip is after Dara talks to this owl, and it's going back to Dijkstra. It starts out again with what I have to imagine is a CGI shot of the owl flying.
Our little spy Dara has had a change of heart.
So that was a very skillful little transfer there that Dijkstra actually just did with that barn owl. So Dijkstra just obviously had a glove on and just walked with the owl, you know, good form as far as I could tell. It was a short, you know, distance shot there, but had the owl step up onto what's obviously a perch that they, you know, made look like it belonged in this room. So that was great, you know. Sometimes you have a food reward there on the perch. Sometimes you just have eventually you can have just a voice command to do that. Command is always not a forceful thing when I talk about it. It's a training goal, you know. I don't actually mean that you're commanding the animal to do something. No, that doesn't exist. There's no dominance kind of situation with these animals. They are always going to be in charge. They're kind of more like a cat than a dog in that kind of way. But eventually, you don't need the food reward or even a vocal, let's call it a cue, in order to get the animal to move. And the bird turns around and looks at him. It's like, where's my reward? I stepped up onto the perch.
The girl gives you the rightful claim to Sintra.
Also, those
Well,
vocalizations
if
most
they
likely
get her
did not
first.
come from that owl. Raptors
What about our
you can
accuser?
visibly see when they're making
Didn't you
some
go there
kind
for
of sound.
Something?
There are some
Yeah, I don't think any of these
unknown
vocalizations are from them.
variables in characters.
Animals, they can...
To say I know.
Raptors can make a variety of different sounds, but that was more of like a stock footage, like owl kind of sound.
Obviously cares for.
Okay, there's a really good
The new
shot
leader
of
of the
this
Brotherhood.
perch that they have
How long that will
on
last is
the barn
anybody's
owl.
guess. Tisea acts detached.
Oh, I should mention that, you know, hawks, eagles, and falcons, they'll have 3 toes in front and 1 in the back. Owls are something called zygodactyl, where they have 2 toes in the front and 2 in the back. I don't know how to get my hand into that position, but it's a different grip than if you're looking at, like for my red-tailed hawk, for example. Now, my red-tailed hawk has a deformed foot, so one of them is like up to here. It's not supposed to be like that, but this is a great shot of this perch. It's probably covered in like leather or something similar that's soft enough for the bird to feel secure on there. So well done as far as the perching material goes. I still don't see any equipment on the bird's legs, but again, that's possible. You don't have to have that on there for them to stay still, because most of the time they're just sitting around anyway. You could risk them flying off into the rest of the room, but that happens. The trainer, I'm sure, is watching very closely what's going on.
But she lets relationships cloud her judgment. And Stregobor will take advantage of that. If I were a betting man...
If you were a betting man, you'd be betting with my money. I pay you to solve problems,
Just kind of see
Dijkstra,
the owl taken in the room.
not fill my head with piling bad news.
Not bad news, my lord. Bedlam. And if our goal is to destabilize the continent, Bedlam is good news.
There's just that flyaway there. I might skip it. I don't know. Again, they kind of cut off the bottom of the feet there.
What do you say?
You can't see if there's any equipment attached. Okay.
I'm saying word is out about the girl.
Well, I dare say things just got more fun, Philippa.
So that sound you heard, that ruffling sound, that is probably an actual sound of a bird, what's called rousing, where they fluff up their feathers and then shake it. I have a video about that, and that's something they commonly do when they're, you know, relaxed and feeling pretty good. I doubt it was the sound of that bird rousing, because it probably would have been in a split second. But let's just look at Philippa's garb here. There's the big reveal, right? This is actually Philippa in human form, finally. Those are not going to be owl feathers on her costume. I'm not an expert in identifying feathers. They could even be fake feathers, but if anything, the brown ones they look kind of like chicken feathers. Yeah, but they're not going to be actual raptor feathers. That would be very, very, very illegal to have collected and made a garment out of raptor feathers. So it's not that. It could be fake altogether. You can kind of see she has a little talon, like ring thing on the finger. That's kind of cool. Hey everyone, I'm back again. Yes, I did have to film on a different day because I completely forgot the whole scene in season 3 that kind of inspired this whole reaction video. So I'm gonna react to that finally. Also, I didn't sign off the last video. It just kind of stopped. So I thought about just like bringing up a credit that just said the end, but no. So after I react, there's actually 2 things I want to react to from season 3. So yeah, different day, different outfit, different makeup, but let's continue. I got the stupid subtitles on, so it's like squishing, moaning, but it's what I got. So all right.
What do you call a spy master when all of his spies have fled?
The answer is dead.
Vilgefort's outplayed us. We must move.
Alright, so here's the thing about Season 3. I could not find any actual owl scenes. This scene is what inspired me to react to it. It's all CGI. It's all CGI. You know, looking at the owl coming in, it looks really good. If it were a real owl, could you get it to like turn the corner like that? Maybe. Probably. If you like stood, like if it had to go in and then look for you and turn in. However, hitting talons to the face, birds aren't gonna do that. Could an owl do serious damage to you? Absolutely. Could it blind you? Yes. Could it kill you if it were an eagle? Maybe. Just because they have ridiculous strength and they're like half our size. But this little barn owl, yeah, he could do some damage to somebody's face, but they're not loyal to their falconers. They recognize us, but mostly it's, oh, they mean food, let me return back to you. That's all it is. They would eat us if they had nothing else. You know, like, they don't have a loyalty to the falconer. It's a desensitization process and an association with food. They're not attack birds. It would be cool, but also very dangerous if they were. You know, but they're more likely to hurt you by accident, and they're more likely to hurt the falconer because we spend the most time with them than somebody else. They certainly wouldn't come into somebody's defense. I'm sorry, I know everybody wants that to be like some badass thing that they do, but they don't come to your defense, and they don't, like, you know, beat up somebody for you. Yeah, so that, obviously, they're not going to have an actual bird attack somebody, plus also they're not trained to do that, so they're not going to actually use a real animal to be attacking this person's head. Getting a little more graphic here, the only way they could probably kill somebody is if they, like, pulled the jugular artery or something. But, yeah, I mean, could they take your eyes out? Could they scratch you up really good? Could they make a lot of what's it called, puncture wounds? Absolutely. It's a free ear piercing or nose piercing or lip piercing if you really want it, but yeah, they're just not gonna do this. And I was curious to go back and watch it again to see what they did use, like what shots they did use for CGI and what shots they did use a real owl, but then I was like, oh crap, the whole thing is CGI. So sorry, but it's a good opportunity to talk about the fact that they don't, like, come to your rescue, etc., etc. Let's listen, though, for Philippa to change into the human again. That was that rousing sound that they did in Season 2. They took that sound right from an actual bird fluffing up and doing a little breakdance. They just do that. They do it after they eat sometimes because they're happy, or after we release them and they fly out to a perch. They'll do that. Charlie's done it a couple times. I'm usually like, don't get too comfortable up there, please. We need to bring you back down. They also do it after they preen their feathers, after they've taken a bath and the feathers are wet or whatever. So I'm glad that they used an actual bird sound in there. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to show you of Philippa because she's got a bloody hands.
Vilgefort's outplayed us. We must move.
I like how they did her nails like a little bit like pointy, like an owl.
Anyone she lays eyes on.
How did the squirrels beat us here?
Either they met and defeated our reinforcements.
Or I hired the wrong messenger.
I also like the ruffles in the front
Not until we get
of
some
her
distance from
outfit
poor Lara.
to kind of look like the feathers on the bird's face, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Alright, and I also just spent like 15 minutes trying to compare the sounds from this scene to actual barn owl sounds. Barn owls have a very different structure, so they, like internally, so they make different sounds. I don't think it's only barn owl sounds. If they used them at all, I think it's probably somewhat manufactured, but I couldn't tell for sure, so if somebody knows and is just really familiar with barn owl vocalizations, let me know in the comments, because I think I can hear a little bit of it, but I hear some other things in there too that I don't think belongs to a barn owl. Okay, and then the final clip I decided I wanted to include here is a scene of human Philippa. You'll see why in a second, but I mentioned earlier that Geralt wasn't in any of the owl scenes in season 2. He is in this scene though, so you get to see Geralt and Henry Cavill. Sorry, Geralt is the name of the Witcher that's in the title. Henry Cavill is Geralt. He's, yeah. Not going to go into the whole recasting thing right now. Anyway, there's a reason why I wanted to show you this particular scene. I couldn't find any real owl scenes in season 3. It was all CGI or Philippa the human. So that's fine. I don't know, I guess they didn't have the owl budget that season, but yeah, I mean, if you find one, let me know, but I don't see any actual owls in here. Here we go.
Made by day, her lips are sweet, her words are gentle.
There's our Witcher.
My love takes flight.
Here comes Philippa.
My dear,
Philippa was
Look at this
surprised.
outfit. Not just because we have an art side to this Art and Animals channel.
You know quite
Look
well I
at
make my
the
killing
bodice of it
catching
and tell me what
secret.
you see.
So yes, you told me. Nice try there, by the way. Should know by
Alright, do you see what I'm talking about with this outfit? The bodice is in the shape of a barn owl head. And it's brilliant. I decided to include this because it gives me the opportunity to finally talk about that unique face shape that the barn owl has, and many owls have. They have very highly developed ears. Instead of a little hole like the hawks, falcons, and eagles have, they have a hole like kind of crescent, and it's on lopsided parts of their skull, and they think this face disc, there's still research being done, but I think it's a little more definite now. It channels the sound more to their ears, because they are either hunting at dawn and dusk or overnight, where vision isn't going to help them the most. Their hearing is going to help them the most. So it's advantageous to have these adaptations to be able to hear better. So the actual ear, it's always under the feathers, so you never see those little tufts up at the top of, like, say, a great horned owl's head are not actual ears, they're just feathers. So I just thought that was awesome. The headdress is probably fake feathers. It's like the feathers are a little too small to be ostrich feathers, which is what a lot of the, like, kind of burlesque-y type headdresses, or like the big wings that, you know, people will fan with, like on Broadway or something. Like, it's usually ostrich feathers. These are probably dyed black because, I don't know, I'm not a feather expert. They're too long to be the birds that you typically think of that are black, like ravens or something like that. Also, I'm sure they wouldn't want to collect. Well, here's the thing about collecting feathers, is that the birds molt every year. So you could collect the feathers every year. In the US, it's illegal to obtain feathers of a raptor unless you are a Native American or a falconer. She also has the feathers, like, around the waist to kind of draw back to her bird roots. Also, I don't know if you caught that Geralt asked her about catching any mice.
My killing catching.
Oh, what a surprise. Catch any mice tonight?
You know quite well I make my killing catching secret.
So yes, you told me. Nice try there, by the way. Should know by now.
But the main thing I just wanted to show was the bodice, because it evokes that barn owl shape. So thanks for joining me for this little Falconer Reacts video. I had fun making it, although it was a lot of work to start editing. If you have any other falconry scenes that you would like to see a reaction to, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to do more of these. I know Lady Hawk is going to be on the list. I don't know if I can review the whole movie. But we'll see. Maybe I can react to some scenes. I have a couple other things in mind, but I'd love to, you know, react to some more bird scenes, raptor scenes, flight scenes, or just animal training in general. I work with a lot of different animals, not just birds. So go ahead and subscribe if you'd like to see when those other videos come out. We have a whole playlist of art and animal videos, kind of everything in between. We come out with an art video on Tuesdays, an animal video on Fridays. I try to have it be a Falconry Friday, but sometimes it's with friends because the on season and the off season for falconry, it's like half the year. So none of the flights are going on like over the summer. On Sundays, we have a surprise Sunday, so it's one or the other category. Sometimes it's something in between. So check us out. We've got playlists and links and everything all around, so click on some stuff. We'd love to see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you soon. Why did it turn on? We don't want the actual owl, the barred. I said it. I know I was gonna mix them up. Okay. This time, couldn't find the mouse to my laptop, which is kind of important when you don't want to reach in and out of frame every time you're having to start and restart a video. Okay, for real, let's get back to the reaction, please. This is not. I don't want to record it a different day. This is just crazy. Okay. Now the cat's meowing. What is happening today? It's hot up here. So, what else do I want to say? I don't know. I don't think they're big enough to be like from a raven or something. The house isn't burning down. My fiance's cooking. Let's try this again.